Flosstube, I'm Kaylin, or better known here on YouTube and on Instagram as Sunshine X-Stitch JD. I am back. I've been gone from Flosstube for about 5 years. I used to make videos. I want to say I made maybe 4 or 5 of them back in like 2021, and then I dropped off the face of Flosstube Planet. So I am back and ready to make new videos. A lot has happened in the last 5 years. I graduated law school. I met and married my husband, and I got one job, got a different job, moved to Europe, moved back from Europe, and just a whole lot of other stuff in between. So I am back and ready to share my cross stitching with all of you lovely people here on Flosstube. So without further ado, I'm going to do this. I've got my little notes in front of me to introduce myself. For those of you who followed me way back then, thank you for still being here, and I look forward to making more videos. Those of you who are new to my channel and just found me through this WIP Parade, if you enjoy my video, stick around for a while. I plan on making these pretty consistently. So anyway, so that's me. I have a wonderful husband. I have a dog named Gunner. We right now live in the sunny state of Arizona. So we are new to Arizona, recently moved here, and we are loving it so far. Anyway, now I'm going to move into the actual WIPs. This is what you're all here for. I don't have too many, but I am going to do them in order of when I started them. So I'm going to show you my oldest WIPs first, and my newest WIPs at the end. I also have finished a lot of things in the last 5 years, and so I'm thinking that I will do a finish parade at some point in the near future. And I also have quite a few things kitted up that I haven't yet started, and so I might do that in the future as well. But for now, these are just the things that I have started and have not finished. And so the first thing is a project called Bare Tree Forest. And a lot of these are just in these Amazon plastic project bags, but some of them I have nicer project bags, and I'll definitely show you those. So Bare Tree Forest is by Little House Needleworks, and this is what it will look like. This is such a cute pattern. So I started this on May 3rd, 2021. This is one of a few starts that I have that I started in 2021 during Mania. And I worked on them that one day in May and put them aside and just never pulled them out again. So this is a measly start for something that began 5 years ago, over 5 years ago. But I do look forward to working on these in the future. So this is my measly little start on Bare Tree Forest. This is the bottom left of the pattern. It's just a little squirrel and the start of some trees. I am doing this on 28 count even weave that I coffee tea dyed myself using the tutorial that Priscilla and Chelsea, the Stitching with the Housewives, that they posted. So I used their tutorial, and I hand dyed this myself, and I am using all of the called for flosses. So there are some fancy flosses and some DMC. So I will put this one back. This is such a cute pattern. All of these are cute patterns, and I did the Mania that year and started all of these wonderful things. And then I quickly realized that I am a 1 to 3 projects really at a time kind of gal. So a lot of these just have not been worked on. So the second WIP was started May 19th, 2021. And this is also a Little House Needleworks pattern. It is called Snowflakes, and I just absolutely adore this pattern. All of these, I mean, I could say that for every single one of these that I've started. Again, coffee tea dyed 28 count even weave, and I believe this is the top left corner, and I'm using, again, all of the called for colors. So it looks really good on this fabric, and I really do like it, but it's just a small start, and hopefully these will get a little bit more attention in the coming months and years. And it's in another one of these bags. So put that aside. Let's see, the next one is one that I've actually been working on quite a lot recently, and this one is in a Little Boat 88 bag. It's got cute little bicycles and flowers, and I absolutely love this bag. I ordered it off of Etsy, so Little Boat 88 on Etsy, and it comes with this thread holder, so I just kind of have all of my flosses just kind of tucked away in there and shut so that they don't get too tangled. I really like that. This one is another Little House Needleworks. Can you tell I had a favorite designer in 2021? This one was started 24 May 2021, and this is The Library. And I'm very excited about this because I've always loved to read, and I've always loved to support the local libraries, but now I'm in a house where my husband and I have our own home library. And so I'm really excited to get this finished and framed so that we can hang it up in our home library. So this again is on 28 count even weave that I coffee tea dyed myself, and I'm using all of the called for colors. And this is how far we are. So this is so cute. And I'm really doing a lot of the more easy to count stitching. I do this at night when I'm sitting on the couch, and I know that, you know, these are so many wide and so many high, and I can just kind of do all of them, and I'm doing the easy stuff first, and then I'll get into filling in the different windows, which are the different genres of books. So this is where we are. And it's lovely. So I have been giving this one quite a lot of love and attention. Sorry, my chair is squeaking. Old furniture, you know? All right, we'll set that down. Okay, so the next project that I have is called Halloween Rules, and it is by Lizzie Kate. Now this one is in a project bag that I made myself, and I forget whose tutorial I used to make these. It might have been Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch years ago. One thing that I don't like is how kind of flimsy they are. So I think if I did this again, I would just kind of maybe do a top stitching like around just the outside edges, just to kind of give it a little bit more stability. It's really cute and it does the job, but this is all fabric that I think I got from Walmart when Walmart used to have those rolled up fat quarters for $1. And they're really cute, very Halloween themed. So I have Halloween rules in here. So this is a bunch of little patterns, but the whole thing looks like that. And this is how I guess she designed it to go fully down like that. And the topper is a free pattern on her website, but I am not doing it in this 1x12 format. Instead, I'm doing a 2x6. I actually did the Christmas rules this way, and you'll see those in my finish parade. But here I will show you this one. I started this on 27 May of 2021, so another one of those mania starts, on 28 count even weave that I coffee tea dyed myself, and I'm using all of the called for DMCs. Yeah, so these have Weeks Dye Works or DMC or Anchor as called fors in here, and I'm just using the DMCs. And this is how, apologize for all of this thread or floss. So here is where I am on this. Let me lean over, I can't see. But we've got a little bit of a start on this one. I think it's so cute. And like I said, I did the Christmas rules and it's just adorable. And I can't wait to get these framed. And it'll be kind of like a more regular rectangle rather than a long, like a long list. So a little bit easier for me to find a frame for. And I just really, really adore them. And I kind of just I'm going back and forth with the boxed ones. So a box over here, then a box over here, then a box over here, if that makes any sense. So that is Halloween rules. Let me put this back on there so I don't lose all of my floss. And put her back in there. I honestly don't remember the last time that I stitched on this one at all. I know I finished Halloween, or I finished Christmas rules when I was in England. But I don't remember working on that one overseas. Anyway, the next one is also a Mania 2021 start. So this one was from 30 May 2021. And this one is a big one. It has multiple patterns attached to it. Not attached to it, but it is like a collection of patterns, and it's called Snow Village. So the one that I'm starting with is not in this big chunk of patterns. It is this one. So I'm starting with Snowflake Stand. And these are so cute. I'm not doing them on the called for fabric. I'm not doing them on a blue fabric, although this is gorgeous. This was a time where I just bought a bunch of even weave and I coffee tea dyed all of it. So I am doing this on, you guessed it, 28 count coffee tea dyed even weave. This one I think I actually worked on a few times because it's got a lot more stitching in it than the other Mania starts, other than the library. So this one I'm using all the called for colors, Fancy Floss and DMC, and the colors, the snow on this fabric just pops. So that is what it looks like. I am in love with this. Now that I am seeing this again, after not pulling it out of its bag in probably 4 years, if not longer, I want to work on this so badly. So I have a feeling that this is going to be what I pull out when I finish the library and just kind of work on this. Now this is going to take me a very long time. Like I said, I think it's like 9 or 12 patterns all together, and I'm not going to stitch them separately like they are in the images where they kind of just framed them separately. I'm doing them all as one big piece. So it will take up this entire fabric, and then I would like to get it framed. So it's gonna take a while, but I'm very excited and I absolutely love it. The colors just pop. It's just fantastic. And I know that I live in Arizona now and I'm not really gonna see snow probably, but I would love to have that in my home. So we'll see. I'm a milk girl, so I drink a lot of milk. Or as my husband likes to call it, milch. He was in Germany for a while. All right. The next project I have, this is one that I really want some advice on, if you're willing. This is a Cherry Hill Stitchery pattern, but it's 3 patterns that I want to stitch together. And so, let me see if I can get these all. So this is the how it's recommended that it gets stitched. Then this is how I want to stitch it. So it's got the big greeting pattern up here, and then the bunny, and then the sheep. And so this is the big greeting pattern, Happy Easter. And then this is the bunny. And this is the sheep. And these are the most adorable patterns. I remember, so I started these 14 March 2022. So I'll have you know that from May of 2021 to March of 2022, I did not start any other projects. But when I started this, I remember that I was talking with my mom, who is also a cross stitcher, and I was talking about how I didn't have any spring patterns. I had Christmas, I had Halloween, I had winter, right? I had no spring or summer cross stitches. And I found Cherry Hill Stitchery, and her patterns were just so cute. And I found these, and I was like, I have to do them. And so I ordered them, and I had this piece of fabric that was gifted to me. And I was like, it would be so cute. This is such a fun fabric to do some springtime thing on. Now I'm not so sure if the colors of these patterns look good on this. I just don't know. So this is where I am. Happy Easter. I just feel like the oatmeal-y look of this fabric is gorgeous, but not for the brightness of the colors that are in this pattern. I feel like I need to change this to either antique white or like a solid, maybe light brown, but nothing that detracts from the light colors of the pattern. Or maybe I'm just crazy. So this is where I need your help. If you think that this looks good, let me know. And if you have any suggestion of what these colors, like what color fabric these would look really good on other than a white or an antique white, let me know that too, because I think I stopped working on this simply because I wasn't sure about the fabric. And I want the finished product. I have a hard time continuing to work on something that I know that I may want to restart in the future, you know? So let me know what you think. Because I've only gotten this far, and that it is a lot, but it's not too far gone. So that is Easter Minis, Cherry Hill Stitchery. Started 14 March 2022 using all of the called for threads. So it's a lot of fancy floss and some DMC. All right, the next project is in another bag that I made. So this one is what I like to call my Lily Pulitzer-ish bag. So it's got the flamingos and the pineapples and this fabric like this that just screams Lily Pulitzer to me. And as a girl from Florida, all of this is just lovely. And so inside here is not a very Florida design, but I call this castles. When I ordered it, I think it just had a number. It was 2x2 stitch art, I think. So the pattern had a number, but it is dragons and castles and a lot of ornamentation. And I started this on, well, I was going to start it on 28 count even weave 2/2. This thing was going to be humongous at a time where my largest pattern that I started was that Snow Village. So I was not prepared for that. Now, I had never stitched on anything smaller than a 28 count 2/2. So I may have stitched something on an 18 count that was finished. So it's not in this WIP Parade, but nothing really smaller than that. So I had 28 count even weave. Yes, you guessed it. I'm doing this 1/1 on 28 count even weave. I also started it with a semi-metallic coppery thread. And I got a pretty substantial chunk stitched when I realized I hated that floss. I just really did not like it. It was a weird consistency. The stitches weren't sitting right. So I picked it all out, frogged it, I think is the term. I frogged all of it, and I kind of found a substitute for the color of the floss that I had been using, but in a DMC. And I wanted something that was slightly variegated, but I didn't have any variegated floss, and I didn't really want to do this whole thing in fancy floss just because cost. So I took 2 colors of DMC. I believe it's 918 and 919, which are just slightly off from each other. And I cut them 20 inches long in length, mixed them all up, and hung them on this homemade floss drop. So now when I pull a 6 strand out, I don't know if it's 918 or 919. And so it kind of gives a semi-variegated, very, very, very slight change in the color of this monotone piece. That all being said, I know you want to see the stitching. This is how far I am. So this is a lot of stitching. It doesn't look like a lot, but this is a lot of stitching. And it's 1/1, I'm sorry, it's 1/1 on 28 count, which is the smallest to date I have ever stitched, even till now. Very small. And it's only going to be this big. This is a 1/4. I want to be clear. This is a 1/4 of the size that this fabric would have needed to be if I had done it 2/2. It's bigger than my head, and it's only a 1/4. Anyway, so this is very cute, and my little needle minder. Isn't that cute? It says roll to stab. And this is a D20. So this is very cute. I have not worked on this in quite some time. But I will say I originally started it 18 January 2023, and that was with the thread that I didn't like. And I restarted it on April 1st, 2023. So 4 months later, I restarted it, and that's when this particular one was started. So April 1st, 2023. And again, this is what it will look like when it's done. I think it's really cute. It really feeds into my nerdy side, you know, the part of me that loves Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and all that kind of stuff. So, all right. Ooh, we had an avalanche. All right, the next one is very special to me. It is in another one of these Amazon bags, but this is one that I designed myself. I bought Max Stitch for my computer, and I decided that I wanted to try my hand at creating patterns. And here in my house, we are very patriotic. My husband's active duty military. I'm a reservist in the military. Family, a lot of military. So we are very patriotic. So I designed a pattern that I call Home of the Brave. And this is what it will look like when it is complete. This is the mock-up of it. So it's got an eagle, a house, an American flag, an apple tree. I just think it's absolutely adorable. So I designed this, and this is where I am. I am stitching it on 28 count coffee tea dyed even weave, and I charted it in all DMC colors. And of course I'm using the Gulf War colors. And so this is where I am. And my little patriotic needle minder. I may be biased, but I love this so much. My husband loves it so much. Let me know what you think, because I would like to maybe design a few more, maybe sell a few patterns. But I had so much fun designing it, and I designed a couple other ones that my mom stitched. Yeah, let me know what you think. Would you be interested, any of you, in purchasing any patterns like this? They won't all be patriotic, trust me. But anyway, this is kind of the style that I was working with. And yeah, so I started this one on 21 January 2023, and designer I wrote down in this is my little notebook with all my project information. I wrote designer me. But yeah, so this one, hopefully I can get that done soon, because I know my husband would like for it to be hanging up in our house, and I would too. All right, so next pattern. This one is called Walking on Sunshine. It was started on 25 June 2023. This is my first and only, as of right now, full coverage piece. The pattern was given to me by my mom. She ordered a pattern, and this was an extra pattern that came with her pattern. So they gave her what she ordered, and then there was a complimentary pattern. And so she gave me the complimentary pattern. When I say this is monstrous, it's monstrous. I had never purchased so many flosses. I'm pretty sure it's 170 different flosses. But it is gorgeous, and I can't wait. Anyway, this is the picture. Oh, don't ruin the... So this goes all the way to the corner, so it's a square, but this is the picture, Walking on Sunshine, and it's basically just Jesus walking on the beach. Gorgeous. Would love to have this framed and hanging in the house. I have not gotten very far. I will not be opening this entire thing up, but I am stitching this on 20 count easy grid. This is how far I am. I have never stitched a full coverage before, so I don't really know how people do the, what do they call it, parking or anything like that. I kind of just was taking a color and just doing as many of that color as I could on that page until the thread ran out, and then I'd pick up the next color and do the same thing. I figure because it's full coverage, it doesn't really matter if I'm traveling behind it. It doesn't matter any of that, and this is kind of easy, and I'm highlighting the paper pattern as I go to know where I have stitched. I don't use any of the like online patterns for PDFs. If I buy a PDF, I print it out and I use the paper. I have bad eyes. I don't like looking at the phone and screens all the time. I look at a screen all day, every day for my job. I don't need to do that for stitching. So the highlighting is the best way for me to know what I've stitched and where I am going next. So this is all I have done on this piece. It is going to be, I will go ahead and open this up. Not like it's gonna do it any justice, but that's how big it is. So I should probably start working on this. When I did start it, I started it as my Sunday stitch, and I could probably start doing that again. Just kind of have it as my stitching after church kind of thing, and get some more work done on that. I think that that would be nice. But this is in another one of those Amazon bags, and it is chunky because it's got so much floss in there. Okay, I have 4 WIPs left, all right? And these are ones that you can start to see my stitching style change throughout time. So 2021, I was mostly Little House Needleworks, Country Cottage Needleworks, very cute patterns, very fun, lots of colors. I touched on a monochromatic piece with the castles, and then was given a full coverage, decided to just try that. So now we're getting into kind of, I'm trying out new fabrics. So the next one is another Little House Needleworks pattern. And I bought these, it's 6 patterns to make one pattern. I don't really know how to explain that, but it's one of those things where you have to buy different parts to make the whole. So it's 6 parts to the whole. And it's called, I'm just gonna pull this one out. It's called From Sea to Shining Sea. And so this is what it will look like when it is all completed. And so it's very, in my mind, this is also very patriotic, right? This is very America. This is very, you know, proud of where I come from kind of thing. And so another thing that I love about this now is that this really represents my husband and I. So it's got the West Coast, and both of us were stationed in California at one point. It's got the Southwest, which is where we live now. It's got the, I believe this is the mountains. So, oh, this is one that we have not really lived in. But then it has the Midwest, which is where my husband is from. And then it's got the South, or the East Coast, which is where I'm from. And so I guess now all we have to do is get up there in those mountains. But so that's what I've started now. When I say playing with different fabrics, this is where I started doing linen. So this is on a 40 count Newcastle linen in the color Sand by Picture This Plus. I had never stitched on linen before, and definitely not 40 count. And so this is where we are, and it is gorgeous. I love the look of the linen. I love how it's kind of, I don't know what that's called, where it's just got the different shades in there. I really, really like this. This is also the first pattern that I have that came as kind of kits, and it's all kitted up with silks. And so I'm stitching with the silks, and it's just gorgeous stitching. I can't get over just how beautiful these stitches are, how beautiful the flosses are. I just absolutely love this. I actually worked on this last night. I did the trunk of the palm tree, and this really got me into the linen. And you'll see in a little bit how much I like the linen. This is in a Fab Shabby Rose bag from Etsy, and it's kind of like a little Halloween-y bag. And I think I had something else kind of fall themed in this before this one, but very cute bag. Okay. All right, so the next one I have is in another Little Boat 88 bag, very patriotic. This I think is my favorite bag that I have. And this pattern is Modern Folk Embroideries, No Time Like the Present. It's gorgeous. Now I'm not doing it in the blue and red that the pattern is shown as, but I started this on January 1st, 2024. I will say that I had planned to finish it by the end of the year of 2024. That definitely did not happen. And you'll see exactly how far I got. But it's done on 40 count Newcastle linen in antique white. And I am using DMC colors 422 and 930. So it is a blue and a gold. And this is how far I got. This is a gorgeous pattern. I honestly don't know why I stopped stitching it. It's not that I didn't love it. I love stitching Jacob's charts. They're easy to read, easy to follow. They're absolutely beautifully designed, and I can't wait to have this finished, but I, for some reason, stopped working on it. But that will change because we love this. It is not my only modern folk embroidery. I think I actually went on like a kick. I found modern folk embroidery through Flosstube, and I think I bought like 10 of his patterns. I'm not joking. That's not an exaggeration. So I have quite a few that I could be working on once I get these finished. I also, just fun fact, you'll see it when I do my finish parade, but I did my wedding sampler was a modern folk embroidery sampler. So, okay, so the next one is another modern folk embroidery, and this one is in a Little Boat 88 bag with cute little birds on it. Absolutely love it. I think this was the very first project bag that I purchased, like nice project bag that I purchased. And this one holds Modern Folk Embroideries, The Fruits of Plenty. And this one is just fantastic. Absolutely gorgeous. I want to finish it. I want to frame it. I just want it hanging somewhere in the house where I can look at it every single day. I am doing this one on a 40 count French vanilla linen, and I am using DMC colors 935 and 470. And I'm quite a bit farther on this one than the last one. So this is where I am. And I love these greens. If I could go back and restart this, I would not change a thing. The fabric is delicious. The colors are delicious. I am obsessed. I love it so much. And I worked on this one quite a lot when I was overseas. Just not nearly enough. So need to get this one back out and started, but it'll be a doozy. And I think this was a stitch along. It was stitch along from 2021, but I didn't know about modern folk embroidery until well after that. So I started Fruits of Plenty on January 1st, 2025, which is super fun because I started No Time Like the Present on January 1st, 2024, didn't finish it throughout the year, and thought for some reason in my head, oh, I'll just do this one 2025, started on January 1st and finish it. There is a word for people like me when it comes to stuff like that, and it is delusional. So that being said, I at least put in quite a bit more work on that one. And I will also in the future. All right, we are down to the very last WIP. This one is one that I actually started a couple days ago. I started it on 20 August, 2026. Now, this is one that I won't really be able to show things in my finished parade, my finished parade. I did these, let me start from the beginning. This is from a book called Ornamental Alphabets by Patricia Sparks. And it is a book, Jeanette Cruz Designs from 1983. And this was my mother's. So I'm gonna be holding it like this to cover up her mailing address. But it's just letters. It's just the alphabet. But they're these beautiful, ornamental and intricate, flowery letters. Now, a few years ago, before I had met and married my husband, I stitched up individual letters for my family members and turned them into pillow ornaments and gave them to them for Christmas as Christmas presents. And I had saved one piece of the fabric that I had used for all of them to stitch one for myself and I did first initials. So I was going to use that one to do a K. And I never got around to actually stitching my own. So I stitched up the pillow ornaments and gave them away to the family members for Christmas. Merry Christmas, you know, here you go. And I never got around to stitching the one for myself. And so when I found this in my stack, in my stash stack, I'm now married. And I only have the one piece of fabric that matches. Now, I know that I could just use different fabric and it doesn't really matter, but I wanted them to match. And so since I am not just one person anymore, I am choosing to do the first letter of our last name. And so it's gonna be a V like this. But I am still using the same colors and fabric that I used for the other ones. And so it is being stitched on a 16 count light brown Aida. And I'm using DMC colors 319 and 498. Pardon me. And so this is how far I am. and I'm just kind of working on the border. So the border will be the green color, and the V will be the green color, and all of the ornamentation is going to be red. And so let me make sure these look good. These are the two colors, the green and the red. And this is only a 70 by 70, so it likely won't take too long to stitch up. Definitely in time to make the pillow before Christmas. This is the fabric that will be the backing. It's the same fabric that I used on the other ones. This again was a fat quarter from Walmart when they used to sell these little rolls for $1. I think I have another one in here. So yeah, seasonal fat quarters. I don't think I've seen these in Walmart for the last maybe 2.5 years. Granted, I was in Europe for a year and a half. We didn't have Walmart over there, but anytime I came back to the States, if I went to Walmart, they didn't have any of those. So not sure if they still do that at Walmart, but again, this is how far I am. All right, well, that is all of my current works in progress, ones that I've worked on recently and ones that have not been touched in about 5 years. I hope you enjoyed. I do plan on doing these more consistently, and I know that I said it earlier, I do plan on doing a finish parade of the finishes that I have that I still have in my possession. And I also plan on doing a kit parade. But I do also want to state that I plan on doing weekly or bi-weekly just updates to my stitching on what I worked on that week, and maybe what new toys, new things, new patterns I get, how I'm finishing things and all of that. So I really enjoy sharing this. It's just a wonderful community, and even though I have not been posting videos for the last 5 years, I have definitely still been watching a lot of Flosstube, interacting with a lot of Flosstubes, and I have been posting on Instagram. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, my handle is SunshineXStitchJD, and it's the same on TikTok. I just started a TikTok for cross stitch a couple of days ago. I think it was on Wednesday for WIP Wednesday. I do post a few shorts here on YouTube, and this is just a fun hobby, second hobby, third hobby for me. I do also like to sew. I like quilts, I like to crochet, and I love to read, and cook. And I have so many hobbies, and I'll probably sprinkle in a few here and there, but this channel will mostly be cross stitch. So if you enjoyed this video or you want to see more, just like, subscribe, follow along, and I can't wait to see you again. Thanks for watching. Bye.